What's cracking, y'all? You are now watching Boo TV. Appreciate you for stopping in. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell, stay notified, and let's get into the topic for today.
What's cracking? Back with another one from the Johnny Arnett universe. An honest conversation about LeBron James's longevity. This is one that is constantly being disputed from both sides, obviously. You got the people. We've never seen anybody play this long at this high of a level so late into their career. And, which is true, but I also look at all the context, how the league has evolved, rules, defenses, lineups, culture, all that stuff helps play a part in it. But nonetheless, LeBron James is still doing his thing. We'll see if evidence ever comes out about him using PEDs, but I'm sure if that evidence got laid down on Commissioner Silver's desk this morning, he would shred and disintegrate the evidence upon delivery. He would never let that get out. So if that is the case, I don't think we'll ever see a scenario well, they will hold LeBron James's feet to the fire and put that information out publicly and punish him. Take everything away. I cannot see that. Silver will hide and protect that legacy because it's also the NBA brand, and that will put a disgusting stamp of doo-doo all over the face of the league. I promise you that. But you got people arguing from the other point of view as well, and it's like, well, if he's playing this great, this long, and you keep telling me he's the best player or one of the best players in the league, and he's going into year 22 now, well, why the hell does he pale in comparison to, like, say, the accomplishments of a Michael Jordan? Played damn near twice as long as Mike, but still chasing him. That is also a valid point. I look at that as well. At some point, it starts to diminish his value. Because I'm looking at it like that too. It's like, well, you played X amount of years. Obviously, the numbers are going to stack. The totals, the statistics are going to mount up, the counting numbers, etc. But when I look at all the opportunities you've had to catch players in championships and other things, you're not getting it done. And they're still saying, it'd be one thing if you weren't that guy anymore, but they're still telling me you're that guy. These are valid points. But we'll let Johnny Arnett talk. I'm sure he'll look at this at different angles that I haven't thought of yet. All right? Let's get into it.
LeBron Ramon James, one of the greatest basketball players in the history of the game. He's about to enter his 22nd season in the NBA, and he's still arguably a top 10 player in the game. If you need any proof of that, just look at the way he's been performing for Team USA this summer, and the way that other stars are leaning upon him to get it done.
To be fair, Johnny, to me, that's all staged. This Olympics has been all about LeBron James. They're going to put his face at the forefront. They're going to run the offense through him, even though he's not the best player on the team. But this is the decision that they're making because of the narrative. That's what I personally believe. It seems to be the case with this guy. So I wasn't shocked. But then again, you have a super stacked team. That's why I don't put so much weight into the Olympics. The expectations are you're supposed to win with that team. Understanding, yes, the rest of the world has gotten better, but you are still putting out a roster that is leagues better than what they have. So get it done. That's my opinion.
Time, LeBron has become the model of longevity and consistency. But yes, even that is an aspect of debate with some of the more recent accusations. Personally, as a guy who grew up in the Bay Area of California during the prime of Barry Bonds, I've learned the hard way to take aging greatness with caution. But let's just put those concerns aside and take a moment and assume that LeBron's career is completely clean, and his long-standing greatness is only due to his incredible genes, athleticism, and conditioning. LeBron has made 20 All-NBA teams throughout his career, which is easily the most of all time. LeBron has been an...
Isn't it crazy to play that many years and never have a really severe injury? Not a broken bone, nothing more than some strains here and there, some sprains and strains here and there. Nothing, no serious muscle tears, nothing. Mild tears, maybe the guy really is just sculpted with the best Jet X ever, I don't know.
An all-star 20 times in his career, which is also the most of all time. He's the NBA's all-time leader in total points and playoff points by significant margins. He's averaged at least 25 points per game for a whopping 20 consecutive seasons, which is easily the longest streak of all time. Now consider this. Only 6 players in NBA history have ever played at least 21 seasons in the NBA. Those players were Kevin Willis, Robert Parrish, Kevin Garnett, Vince Carter, Dirk Nowitzki, and of course, LeBron James. Take a look at the numbers of these players in their 21st season. And now, take a look at the numbers of LeBron's 21st season. As you can see, the comparison is laughable just to look at. So with all of this being said, am I really daring to ask the question if LeBron's longevity is actually starting to hurt his legacy? Yeah, it's something I'm considering. Let me ask you, dear viewer, is there ever a point where LeBron's longevity can actually hurt his legacy? Here's essentially what I mean. When I think of the greatest players in the history of sports, I think of guys who dominated their eras with winning. In basketball, Michael Jordan won 6 championships in the span of 8 seasons. In golf, Jack Nicklaus won 18 majors. And Tiger Woods won 15, including the Grand Slam of all 4 majors consecutively. In boxing, fighters like Muhammad Ali and Mike Tyson were undefeated for extended periods of time. In the NFL, Tom Brady won 7 Super Bowls, which is more Super Bowls than any NFL franchise. But then you look at LeBron James, and by the time his new contract is up in Los Angeles, he'll have played 23 seasons in the NBA. We're potentially looking at 4 championships in the span of 23 seasons. That's an average of 1 championship for every 6 seasons. So I have to ask, is that dominance? Sure, it's impressive, but is that the winning frequency of a player who should be called the greatest player of all time? Think about how many great players didn't get to eat during Jordan's dominance in the 1990s. But then you look at LeBron and seemingly everybody got to eat during his long era. I understand that basketball is a team sport, and looking at championships alone to determine a player's greatness is rather shallow. But when you're looking at a superstar player who switched teams numerous times to be in better situations, and when you're looking at a player who has a reputation of building stacked teams the exact way he desires them, and that only translates to 4 championships in potentially 23 seasons, that's when I start asking if the longevity is actually hurting. Here's something else to consider. Yes, LeBron James is the NBA's all-time leading scorer with over 40,000 points, and many LeBron fans are now using this to claim that LeBron James is the greatest scorer in NBA history. At first glance, that seems like a decent argument. But the problem is that they're almost never consistent with their logic. LeBron James is also the NBA's all-time leader in turnovers, and second place isn't even close. In fact, in the last 3 seasons of the NBA, the league-leading average of turnovers in a season is 295. This means that LeBron has an all-time turnover lead over second place that's greater than 2 league-leading seasons worth of turnovers. By the same logic that LeBron is the greatest scorer because he has the most points, LeBron is also the most sloppy player in league history because he has the most turnovers.
Dude, I've been these points that he's making, I've been saying this for years, man. Keep your logic consistent. If your logic is strictly the numbers and the totals, then keep that consistency with the turnovers. Hey, listen, man, I'm with Johnny. I've been saying this. And I've said plenty of times about I'm not that impressed by his championships, considering he's forcing his way into better situations, taking over management, handpicking the players he wants, and then when he doesn't get it done, everybody else gets blamed. But LeBron, this is what you wanted. This is what you wanted. Now you want to fire people? Now you want to get people traded? Come on, man. How can you guys just ignore this context? I'm talking to you, Bron Goblins. I'm talking to you.
As always, I believe the truth lies somewhere in the middle. Yes, he has the most points, and yes, he has the most turnovers. But both of those number one rankings are mainly due to his insane longevity. My point is that you can't simply have it both ways. You can't endlessly praise him for the scoring record while simultaneously ignoring turnovers. And you can't endlessly criticize him for the turnovers while ignoring the scoring record. You have to take the good with the bad and the bad with the good. But here's the thing. That's not the only negative record that will end up on LeBron's legacy. As things currently stand, LeBron James is not the NBA record holder for the most missed shots of all time, but he will be as soon as the very first game of the upcoming regular season. At the time I'm making this video, Kobe Bryant has the most missed shots in NBA history with a total of 14,481, and LeBron James is only 5 missed shots behind him at 14,476. This means that assuming that LeBron James will be healthy and active, he will almost certainly be the all-time leader in turnovers and missed shots by the end of opening night for the Los Angeles Lakers. As a Kobe Bryant fan, I understand full well that this record doesn't inherently make the guy a bad player. But I also remember dealing with those criticisms from LeBron fans for years.
Yes. And we still deal with those criticisms from LeBron James fans. No matter all the context I tell them, they ignore it. No matter all the facts I put in their face, they ignore it. Conveniently, like they always do. I'm with Johnny, man. I'm sick and tired. Sick and tired, man. Kobe wasn't a great scorer. He was just a shot chucker. Yeah, you're wrong.
And guess what, guys? That becomes your critiques to deal with in a few months. Ultimately, LeBron's longevity is impressive, but it's getting to a point where he's not just accumulating the positive records, but negative ones as well. Of course, he's done some very impressive winning throughout his career, but the longer his career goes on, the more images we have of him losing rather than succeeding. Even if I look at a guy like Michael Jordan, he came back to play for the Wizards. And I'm one of the biggest advocates for the fact that Jordan's Wizards years were actually impressive from a pure basketball standpoint.
Agreed.
But if we're being honest, did it help or hurt his legacy? Of course it hurt his legacy. Even the most passionate Jordan fans agree on that. MJ had the perfect storybook ending in Chicago, where he ended his career with a 6th championship in a 45-point performance where he sealed the title with his iconic game-winning jumper. It doesn't get any better than that. But he decided to come back, and we had to see a lesser version of Jordan in a blue jersey. We had to see him tear his meniscus and witness him miss the playoffs in back-to-back seasons. I'm happy for MJ that he got to scratch that itch and spend more time playing the game that he loved. But from a legacy standpoint, sometimes less is more. This is where I'm at with LeBron James. Yes, he's an incredible player. Yes, it's remarkable how good he still is at this age. But at a certain point, I absolutely believe that the longevity can start to hinder his legacy. Of course, it's up to LeBron. He can play as long as he wants. And I've never been one of those guys who likes to tell people when to hang it up. I'm just saying that from a legacy standpoint, playing as long as possible is not always the kindest to aging athletes. Even the biggest LeBron James fans can admit that 4 championships in 17 seasons.
Can someone tell me what the hell is this? Well, I don't know what that is. Obviously, there's a purpose for them getting zipped up in a bag. What is that? What does that do?
Seasons is more impressive than 4 and 20, or 4 and 25, or even 4 and 30. At what point does it all start to weigh a legacy down? So you heard my thoughts. Now I leave that question up to you guys.
I was trying not to laugh
Is LeBron
at that.
helping or hurting his legacy by increasing his longevity? I look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comment section below. Thanks for watching as always. Make sure to like and subscribe for more basketball content, and I'll see you guys in the next video.
It's funny, man, because it's like, why don't y'all do LeBron like you do Wilt? Oh, he was great, all the numbers, but yeah, he didn't do enough winning. He should have won more championships. Well, that's what LeBron people say about Wilt Chamberlain. One of the things they say about Wilt. Well, say the same thing about your guy. Please say the same thing about your guy. You know, Wilt didn't have all the super teams that LeBron had. Wilt didn't have the flexibility like LeBron had. Wilt didn't have the control like LeBron had. At all. Not like that. Not like that. We've never seen what we're seeing from LeBron James and how he's basically the GM of these basketball clubs. We've never seen anything like it outside of the Miami Heat, but they still orchestrated that to get it started. And then they tried to take over management, and Pat Riley wasn't having it at all. At all. People, keep that same logic, man. This is a lot of stuff I have regurgitated through many LeBron videos. Go check out the LeBron James playlist I have. I ain't making this shit up. I agree with everything Johnny said. Even his analysis on Jordan, and I couldn't agree more. You can go look at my Wizards Jordan content, and you will hear me say, I don't think he gets enough credit for those 2 years with the Wizards, with the context, with his injuries, what he was doing when he was healthy before that injury in his first season with the Wizards. He was averaging 25, 5, and 5. Wizards were on pace for like 50 wins. He was an MVP candidate. Then the knees went out. But it happens. And I accept it. But I'm letting you know the context. So, while I agree, of course it would have been more picturesque, more of a storybook ending had he not came back. But he did. And this is how we view it. But I never thought about that aside from the LeBron James thing. As long as he keeps losing and faltering, that's going to be the last image we see of him. That's how people look at Kobe Bryant. Especially the kids that never got to see him play. They just look at that last season where he was a complete shell of himself and not very good most nights or some nights. And that's how they see Kobe. And he was shooting horribly. Age, mounting injuries, he was a shell of himself. Every now and then he'd have a great game. But yeah, looking at that version of Kobe, you might say all he did was chuck shots and miss all of them. Sure, I think he shot like 30-some% from the field in his final season. After torn Achilles, broken knee, and broken shoulder. Dude couldn't practice. Had to manage his games. All that kind of thing. So I'm just saying. I watched Kobe play his whole career. So I know that was like an outlier. Everything after the Achilles pretty much was just not Kobe. His body failed him. He tried to still be a top player. Just wasn't in the cards. Everything was there. He knew what to do. But his body wouldn't allow him. Didn't have the same burst. Didn't have the knees weren't the same. Obviously the shoulders weren't the same. Didn't have the lift. Couldn't create the distance as easy. The legs weren't there. Fatigue. Everything starts burning faster, easier. Anywho, that's all I gotta say about it, folks. I appreciate each and every one of you for stepping in. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell, stay notified, and I catch you on the next one. We out, baby.